Here's a Furies, I know that this is a re-upload, but I've had to do it because DreamWorks came after my last video and meant that I couldn't make any money on it, which obviously I rely on as someone who does YouTube for a job. So it would really mean the world if you could like this video or share it with a friend if you know that they would enjoy it to help this video gain momentum as it's a re-upload. Otherwise, enjoy. Heads up, Furies. Titan wings are the most powerful form of dragon. They're rare, they're dangerous, and they look ultra cool, and I'm just giving Mishka some screen time because he hasn't had much recently. Now, at the end of the second film, Toothless may have become a Titan wing. We discussed the arguments for and against in my most popular video ever, linked up in the corner of the screen. But what about the Bewilderbeast? Is either Drago or Volker's one? And what might a Titan Bewilderbeast look like? Mishka wants to go now, so I'm just gonna give him his all hail Mishka. All hail Mishka! The first thing to note is that Titan wings are rare, as in across all of the series and the films, we have only ever met a few. The Titan wing Zibbleback, the Monstrous Nightmare, the Dramillion, the Singed Tail, the Shellfire, and possibly a couple of others that were never truly confirmed. So what does it mean to be a Titan wing? Well, the three criteria tend to be that they are larger than the normal members of their species, they sometimes have special abilities, and they often have special kinds of markings on their body. A great example of this is the Titan wing Dramillion that we meet in The King of Dragons Part 1. It's sizably larger than the standard Dramillion counterparts, it has red markings along its wings and tails that the normies don't, and it has the Changewing ability to camouflage where the rest of its kind don't. I wonder if Spyro is a Titan wing. I've got a Titan-sized dick. Okay, that's enough. Virtually every dragon species has a Titan wing form, but we mostly see these in the game Rise of Berk. In fact, the phrase Titan wing is never actually used in the films to describe either Drago or Volker's Bewilderbeast, but it is used explicitly by Hiccup and Fishlegs to describe the Titan wing Monstrous Nightmares and also the Shellfire Hiccup suggests. So they definitely know that the Titan wing concept is a thing. It's not just something that was made up for either the wiki or the games. It is a classification that they came up with, so it does raise a curious question. Why didn't they use it to describe the Bewilderbeasts? At first glance, it does seem that the Bewilderbeasts fulfill all of the three Titan wing criteria. They're absolutely massive, dwarfing every dragon around them. They do seem to naturally have some special alpha control abilities. We see in this scene that their ability to control other dragons, it isn't just a natural dominant characteristic that they gain by proving themselves as the alpha, like we see with Toothless at the end of the second film. Their vibrating eyes and antennae are said to emit ultrasonic sounds that influence the minds of other dragons, as opposed to the dragons choosing to follow their alpha like they did with Toothless. That is a pretty unique power. And finally, markings. Well, this one is a bit difficult to say because we have only ever seen 3 Bewilderbeasts across all of the series, but they definitely have some unique colorings. But don't we need to take a closer look to really tell? Great point, you creepily, perpetually smiling skeleton. As mentioned, we've only ever seen 3 live Bewilderbeasts before, and this does raise a few questions, because Titan wings are meant to be ultra rare, as in 1 in 1,000 type dragons, which makes it somewhat unlikely to me that all of the Bewilderbeasts that we have met have all been Titan wings. As far as we know, no dragon is ever born to be a Titan wing. It's something that they have to grow into. It's a maturing stage, a next evolution. And though they might be alphas, not all alphas are Titan wings. There are alpha Whispering Deaths, alpha Night Terrors, but that doesn't make them Titan wings. Secondly, we have never met a Bewilderbeast that we know isn't a Titan wing. The show or the writers have never said, this is a standard, normal Bewilderbeast. Meaning we can't just assume that the mind-controlling abilities that we see them use in the second film are only for Titan Bewilderbeast, that these are the special abilities that typically define one. Nor do we know what the normal markings would be that would distinguish this kind of dragon. In fact, originally I was wondering whether or not these huge dragons even had Titan wings form, because Titan wings are often the alphas in packs, but Bewilderbeasts seem to live alone, meaning there wouldn't be an evolutionary need, or at least not as strong a one, for that kind of dragon. But be assured there are. The Red Death, another one of these huge dragons that can rival even the size of the Bewilderbeast, is described by Volker in this way. From its lair deep within the corona of the volcano, this Titan wing reigned supreme, until Toothless led Stoic, Gobber, and the other Berk Vikings to the blighted shores of Dragon Island. So there is a non-Titan wing variant of the Red Death out there, we just haven't seen it. Now, to be fair, and the hardcore fan fans that already knew all of this would have been waiting for me to get to this since the beginning of the video, we do actually have some quotes that talk about Valka and Drago's Bewilderbeast in a similar way. As a Class 10 Leviathan, the aquatic equivalent of a Titan wing, a full-grown Bewilderbeast swims at incredible speeds and bursts to the surface for surprising and devastating effect. Also, fun fact time. On the wiki they use the word Titanic 3 times in one article to describe the Bewilderbeast. Just feels a bit excessive, don't you think? And there's your answer, right? Well, no. See, this quote comes from a line from Fish Legs in the second film when he first sees Drago's Bewilderbeast.
I'm thinking Class 5 Leviathan, maybe 6. That is a Class 10! Class 10!
Class 10 Leviathans are supposedly meant to be the title class equivalent of a Titan wing, and interesting side note, the term Leviathan comes from the biblical water beast. I will not fail to speak of Leviathan's limbs, its strength and its graceful form, who can strip off its outer coat, who can penetrate its double coat of armor, who dares open the doors of its mouth ringed with fearsome teeth, its back has rows of shields. That's the description from the Bible, and it's kind of similar to Smaug's speech in The Hobbit, don't you think?
My armor is iron. No blade can pierce me. My teeth are swords. My claws are spears.
But there are a few problems with us taking this line from Fish Legs as definitive proof that these Bewilderbeasts are Titan wings. Firstly, Fish Legs called the Bewilderbeast a Class 10 Leviathan, the biggest kind of dragon that it could possibly be. But he did this in the heat of battle, when he was freaking out. There was a lot going on, it was chaos. He wasn't really focusing on studying the dragon at hand, was he?
That is a Class 10! Class 10!
Secondly, the Leviathan class system seems to be more to do with overall size than it does to do with abilities or growth stages, and we know that the Titan wing form is the final growth stage. In School of Dragons, the Luminous Kraken is only ever described as a Class 10 once it has grown to this huge, massive size that we see beneath Vanaheim, but they never say that that makes it a Titan wing. Thirdly, Fish Legs jumps to the conclusion that they were Class 10s on size alone. But there was no way that he could tell that they were a Titan wing from just that. Being a Titan wing is far more complicated than just size. So this quote to me, and everything that's really based on it, seems to me more like something that they might believe in terms of how they catalogued it, but they may have gotten it wrong. And there's a fourth thing. The Class 10 Leviathan is meant to be the biggest dragon possible. But here's the thing. The Bewilderbeast that they met here might have been the largest dragon they had ever seen, even bigger than the Red Death, but they don't know the limits of how big a dragon can grow. Imagine if you had a scale from 1 to 10 in terms of how heavy a chicken could be, and a normal chicken is just a 1 on the heavy chicken scale, and then suddenly you find a chicken that is 100 kgs heavy. That's massive. You're going, wow, that is a Class 10 heavy chicken. But then you don't actually know that there's a 200 kg chicken somewhere out there that you've never even met. If you had met it, then maybe the 100 kg chicken would only be a 5 on your heavy chicken scale, while the 200 kg chicken would be a 10 on the scale. It seems to be relative to what they know or what they've seen, it's not objective. Likewise, if Hiccup and the gang found a Bewilderbeast that was twice the size of the two that they saw here, maybe these wouldn't be Class 10 Leviathans, but Class 7s or something, while that larger one would be a Class 10. Does that make sense? The point is that it's subjective and not objective. It's about how they think of Bewilderbeast and how they have catalogued them from the stuff that they know, when they really don't know that much in the first place. And this is the crux of my theory. I don't think either Drago or Valka's Bewilderbeasts are Titan wings, but I do think that we have met one. It wasn't alive, in fact it was long dead. It was the one we see on Vanaheim. Hear me out. Let's go back to the most important criteria for a Titan wing. size. When we actually look at the size of this dead Bewilderbeast and compare it to Vulca or Drago's, we see that this one is even bigger, possibly twice the size or more for it to make up this island. And this is one of the fundamental factors in being a Titan Wing. Obviously, from its skeleton alone, we can't know what abilities it had or what markings it has, but interestingly, while those things often indicate a dragon is a Titan Wing, it's not always necessary. For example, the Singed Tail seems to have relatively similar abilities, it's just bigger, and the Titan Wing Zipperbacks seem to have exactly the same abilities. Once again, they're just bigger, and sometimes they might have the same markings but different abilities. What remains true across all Titan Wings is size. They're always bigger. And the obvious objection to this is that maybe this one was just older and these ones hadn't grown to that size yet. But let's talk about their age. So, when a dragon becomes a Titan Wing, they go through quite a sudden growth spurt, it seems. It's quite a sudden evolution for them, kind of like Charmander becoming Chameleon, or Chameleon becoming Charizard. So up until that point, when they can become a Titan Wing, they can only be a certain size. At the end of Race to the Edge, Drago says this:
I want the king of dragons. I'll find another king of dragons myself.
This implies that he doesn't have a Bewilderbeast yet, and we know from the writers that he raised his from birth, meaning that this one that we meet in the second film is 2 years old at most. In contrast, we know that Vulca's is at least 20 years old, at a minimum, because we know that he was there since at least when Hiccup was a baby and Vulca disappeared. It was probably far older than that. And yet, both of these Bewilderbeasts are the same size. And this Titan Wing theory would explain why, because we know that Bewilderbeasts grow extraordinarily quickly. Maybe this is as big as they can get without becoming Titan Wings, whether or not they are 2 years old, or 20, or 100 years old. They can only get to this size before they have to evolve and become Titan Wings, becoming this size. But that is all from me. What do you think? Question of the day, which is your favourite class at school and why? I always love English and drama because arts and creativity. Let me know yours down in the comments below. In the meantime, come follow me over on Twitter, Facebook and so on, links in the description. There's a shopping thing to go get shirts if you want one. Stay nerdy, Subfuries, and I will see you in the future.